TC family, it's Emily here, the keeper of Cross Training Couture. I hope you're having a great day. I just wanted to touch base with you to tell you about our newest release that we've been planning for quite some time, just in time for Easter, and it's the one I'm wearing right now called Made for This, and it comes from the verse in Esther 4:14. And I'm not going to recap the whole story of Esther for you, but I'm going to tell you just enough for you to kind of understand how this all ties together. So just to make a very long story short, and go read through Esther, because it's a relatively short book of the Bible. It's fascinating, and I'm going to tell you it's not funny, it's a God story in a few minutes about just kind of how crazy it's been for me, this timing, and that we had this shirt planned and so forth. But anyway, so to make a long story short, culture is going crazy. The book of Esther takes place in Persia under the rule of King Xerxes. King Xerxes is a worldly party animal, we'll call him that. He likes to have a good time and invite his friends to join him in doing so. And there's a queen named Vashti, and in a drunken stupor, he wants Vashti to come and entertain him and his friends. So whatever that might mean, there's not a lot of details on that. But basically, he invites her to come join them, and she refuses. And so he gets very upset. And after a few days, his confidants, his inner circle, tells him that if he doesn't do something about this, that all of the women all over the land are going to think that they can just do whatever they want. And so therefore, he banishes Vashti from the kingdom. And very quickly, he becomes very lonely, and he wants another queen. And so he sends his servants out to go survey the land, and basically, from where I'm understanding in my thorough study of Esther right now, pretty much force all of the girls that they think might be make a decent queen to come and live in the harem. And they receive beauty treatments and all of this queen training essentially over the course of an entire year, while being beckoned by King Xerxes at any time to come and join him and do whatever it is that he wanted to have them do. And so anyway, this is where we are in this culture. And Persia was growing, and there's a lot of self-indulgence and so forth. It's basically all about whatever works for you. Does that sound familiar? So anyway, Esther is a Jewish girl. However, she has a kind of two names. She's got a Persian name and a Jewish name and so forth. And the interesting thing about the book of Esther is God is never mentioned. So basically, Esther and her cousin / uncle, he's called sometimes Mordecai, are living in this paradox, essentially. So they're a part of this Persian culture, but they're Jewish, but they don't want anyone to know. So no one's supposed to know that they are Jewish. Well, one of King Xerxes ends up putting one of his helpers named Haman into a position of influence that basically whatever he says go. He's kind of like the king's helper, but he has the same authority as the king. And it turns out that he wants to get rid of all the Jewish people. And so he puts out this decree and King Xerxes quickly agrees to it, not knowing that his queen Esther is Jewish, that they're just going to have this day that they kill all of the Jewish people. And King Xerxes signs onto it because Haman has him to believe that he can, that's just going to be helpful for his efforts to make this kingdom that serves him and what he wants, to get rid of these people. So anyway, so they set this day. Well, Mordecai hears wind of this, and he summons Esther, and he tells her what's about to happen. And that's where our shirt comes in. And I'm going to read you a little bit of where we are in this story. So this is in Esther chapter 4. I'm going to start in verse 12. So first of all of the Jewish people are going to be exterminated, essentially. He says, when Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, he sent back this answer: do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to royal position for such a time as this. Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai: Go, gather all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my maids will fast as you do. When this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and carried out all Esther's instructions. So basically, what Mordecai has asked her to do is to go before the king and to share with him what is about to happen and to plead with him that he will not do this. Well, Esther does not have the right to go before the queen, so she has to ask to be in his presence and so forth. And so she does that, and to make a long story, the end of the story shorter, she succeeds in that, and Mordecai is elevated to a high position in the kingdom, basically takes over Haman's position, and he is killed. Haman is killed, and so the evil is gone, and God's people, the Jewish people, continue to live just according to his plan. So there's so much to dig into this, but I want you to understand this. I think that what we need to understand in the culture that we live in right now, that we think is worse than it's ever been and so forth, I think the book of Esther is a really good reminder that no, actually all of these same things that are happening today have been happening for a really long time. And that, first of all, God uses all of it. He uses all of it, even in this book and this time that his name isn't mentioned. He used these people that weren't really even following him. They were not following Jewish customs and so forth most of the time. God isn't even mentioned in this, but they did have this heritage, and God chose to use them to continue his people, that he has chosen people that you and I now get to be a part of. Secondly, he put Esther in this position for a reason. And it took a lot of risk and a lot of discomfort and a lot of she might die for her to use the position that she was in and the chosen nature that she was in to fulfill the legacy and to do the hard thing and to go before the king and to risk her life to ultimately save her people. And the reason that we don't have a queen crown on our shirt, but we have a crown of thorns as our shirt, is because you and I were made for now. We were made for this. We were made for this side of the cross. That said, our charge is no different. So we can't sit back. We can't isolate ourselves and have our little compounds where we don't let anyone in and we're just going to wait here until Jesus comes back. We can't do that. The other thing that we can't do is we can't become so immersed into our culture and such a part of it that we look no different from the rest of the world. And it's so fascinating. So we had already designed this shirt. It was all ready to go. And lo and behold, our church's small group study that we're in the middle of right now is called, it's this book, which is fascinating if you've not ever heard of it. It's called Faith Among the Faithless, Learning from Esther How to Live in a World Gone Mad. And it's been so fun to dig further into what was going on here. And he talks significantly throughout the book about isolation versus assimilation versus what does it look like to live in this world that is gone mad, living set apart, despite all of these influences that there are, despite the way that we might look, despite the way that people interpret certain things and so forth, and how to do it in a way that is effective and makes an impact on our culture and saves more souls versus, pushing people away from isolation or blending so much into the culture that no one sees anything different. So why can't I just not believe in Jesus and still do the same things that you people do? So it's a really fascinating book and I've loved it. And it's just been really crazy that it's kind of all tying together. And we wanted to release this shirt now, right before Easter, because this is what we were made for, what we're about to celebrate, that Jesus rose and the gospel and the root core of the gospel, that's what we were made to share, that we were made for now. We are made as disciples to spread the gospel throughout the world. And that doesn't stop in our homes. It doesn't stop in our cities. It doesn't stop anywhere. So we've got to come together as a community, as a body of believers standing strong when we feel like the world is against us and it's so big and it's so vast, and that's all true. But together we have so much power that comes from him, and it's our time right now. We were made for this. We were made for now to share the gospel, for Jesus to be the center of everything that we do, everything that we're doing, every place that we're going, every conversation we have. And I'm not talking about beating the Bible over people's heads, but that we've got to remember that every interaction that we have, we are reflecting Jesus. If we profess to know and love him and walk with him, we're doing that all the time. And so that doesn't exclude conversations at the grocery store, or, how we treat that person that's not being kind to us, that, hates Jesus. Well, that doesn't matter. It's still our job to be gospel sharers all the time. So anyway, this is our new tank made for this. It comes in white. It comes in black text as well. So you've got options here. Make sure you grab yours. I'll stand up, or if I stand up, you'll be able to see me. But it's our traditional flowy style. Can you see the back? Yep. So we are super excited about this tank. I'm like on fire about it, obviously, because of all of this studying that I've been doing and so forth. And it's our charge right now. We're made for this. Let's do it, ladies. Thanks so much for joining me, and can't wait to catch up with you next time.